And as I mentioned, arbitrary time limits on videos is just another form of censorship. And, the whole data rot thing that, I mentioned, and just all this other shit is just, like, I call them, like, as a totality, the World Wide Web, the internet, as a means of censorship and just historical revisionism. I call it, web, the web of mass destruction, or webs of mass destruction, right? Clear reference that's, relevant to the Deus Ex games and also just modern existence in the human inflicted technological dystopia. But that's all it is, right? It's like anything, like technology is evil in the hands of a human. Really, it's humans are evil. Technology in and of its own right is fine. It's just humans are psychotic apes, and everything that they could use as a basis to persecute and terrorize and oppress and murder the innocent or whatever, they're going to weaponize that. So what could have been such a vast, wondrous world of possibilities is instead just a fancier looking prison cell, right? And now they don't even want you to be able to do basic shit on the internet. Everything is a tracking device, right? And to some degree, you could accept that to a point of like, okay, well, if I'm that work, first of all, I've done computer repair and like, data sec and all this other stuff related shit for money in the past, right? Like I'm fairly well with, fairly aware and adept with these topics. And so I have a better sense of how anonymous you are and versus, how anonymous you're not. And also to what extent does it really matter? But a discerning individual like me, for example, if I was that worried about the phone being a tracking device, I'll just fucking turn the thing off, right? Like these two phones I got here. Well, one of them I use. The other one I'll use Wi-Fi on it if I need to. Mostly it just exists to record audio, or like, me lifting at the gym or whatever. Or it's just a pure backup or just a way to, essentially store extra stuff. But, both of these phones, I replace the battery in, even if they don't make it where you can just easily pop it in and out. They're not that hard to get out. This one I'm recording with now, my primary phone, I replaced the battery in it because it swole up, and it wasn't that difficult. But you know, you could say, well, what about the other battery hidden on there? Well, I mean, they could do anything, right? But you could accept a degree of the shit, and it's like, okay, well, a tracking device that you turn off isn't that useful. But it's a different thing in the modern environment where essentially the whole planet is a tracking device now. And GPS satellites and, these, gigapixel, imaging cameras they use to generate the fucking maps for it and all this other shit, can zoom up your asshole from low Earth orbit, right? And millimeter wave and all this other shit. That's the problem I have, is the kind of like the the most middleist man in the middle of, well, if the whole place is a tracking device, you can't fucking get away from it, right? Well, let's just make you automatically surveilled by default, right? And it's just the, like panoptical con or like whatever, right? It's just everything is optics and imaging. And I just used to be so into this shit and reading SIGGRAPH and, I3D and, GDC and these different technical publications. And, oh, well, this stuff is, it could do this and that. And yeah, 15 years ago, and I see millimeter wave and presence detection, like they call it. And I was like, all right, clearly this is a surveillance device, but you would have never thought it would have been like, not even widespread, it's just everywhere. Like, there literally is nowhere. And it's like, how long till they just start using X-ray imaging, right? I mean, they got their murderous child fucking police running wild all day. Do you think they really give a fuck if they give you cancer as well? Right? Why not just shine x-ray? Like, you again, yeah, it might be what's the one book or like everything is see-through or whatever. And it's just funny. It's the first post I made on this channel was about that. Like, it's like all these fictional media cannot come up with a dystopia anywhere close to as horrific as just real life, right? Like, one of my favorite examples is Chronicles of Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay, where whenever you do the intro of the game, you're being led in, and the main prison guy or whatever, I don't know, is voiced by Exhibit. I don't remember the character name. Abbott or something. I don't know. But he's telling you the rules of Butcher Bay, and at one point he says no contraband, but then he says right after that, don't ask what's contraband. I define it day by day. And every time I replay that game, you cannot fathom how much I appreciate that dude's honesty, right? You would never get that level of honesty from a human, right? These humans want to create all their fake rules and laws and all this, but then they don't ever even follow them, right? So, like, they'll go against the law to benefit themselves, and you following the law still makes you a piece of shit, right? And then they'll say the word of the law is not the spirit of the law, and it's like, why do they differ? And it's like, at least this motherfucker just said, I'm going to make up the rules, you know, as I go along because I feel like it, because everyone's letting me get away with it. And it's like, that's the most trustworthy motherfucker in existence if he were a real individual. And you can't even get a human that reliable. And yeah, it's just, I don't even know. Everything is just worse and worse every day. If I truly knew how evil this world could be, there's just so many other things I would have done. Not even necessarily just things I would have done versus having not done them, but just I would have done them by now. But a lot of shit is just, there are no opportunities left. Like, I wanted to go to the UK or Europe in the past. Now that's never going to happen. The only reason I wanted to go in the past to the UK was when it was part of the EU. Um, and now UK and Europe have their verification ID online shit on everything. I'm not playing that game. I'm already oppressed enough here. There's no point wasting my fictional money to go to some other, fake nation state just to get oppressed a slightly different way, right? It's beyond not worth it. And just more and more this world just gets fucking depleted. So as usual, when the way the world starts bearing down on me like it is right now, I try to escape into nostalgia, and it doesn't really work that well. It hardly works as escapism. you know I came back to ChomoTube. I wanted to just do some lifting videos or weight loss related videos, and of course they have to start censoring me, and then I get sick and can't even fucking lift for the last fucking 2 months. And it just, it's like, fuck, I just wanted to talk about innocuous shit, but y'all are just, you just want to keep me thinking about that fucking technological depravity shit, don't you? It's like, all right, well, whatever then. But I still just try to, like with the video games, at least it's a video game, and fundamentally you can turn it off, right? But that's what I mentioned in the other one about, I used to have dreams when I was a kid of like turning the game off and the screen goes off, but like I can still hear the game. And it's like a nightmare type of, dream. It's one of those things where stuff is not that odd, but there might be something like that that's disparate, but at the same time, it's just that sense of dread you have the whole fucking dream. That is what really makes it the nightmare. That's what this shit is, right? It's like everything is just a facade, you know, and I don't know. I'm not really sure what to say on that anymore. Like, even venting, like I try to do with this shit, doesn't really help much. But these humans, they just only use technology for evil, and, if they're given an inch, they take a quadrillion light years or whatever, right? And, it's like everyone was okay with surge, so they used Uber and Lyft type shit to get rid of taxis. The main reason they did that was because taxis were truly anonymous. You pay them cash, they just take you where you want to go, basically, no questions. That's why they want to usurp that with their little mass surveillance vehicles, to the point to where now they expect you to give your driver's license just to be able to book a fucking Uber trip or whatever. And then on top of that, they introduced surge pricing on something like that, where, again, if you're not thinking too hard about it, you could justify it and be like, oh, that makes sense. And now they're wanting to try to sneak that shit into fucking supermarkets, right? And it's like the only way the United States is going to get digital tags on the shelf. So, like, there's no way, like, so first of all, they still won't factor tax into the fucking shelf thing, will they? Even though they totally could. Like, they don't know the tax rates for that area. They still won't do that, but now this will be their excuse to do surge or dynamic pricing on fucking regular ass shit. So you would think, okay, we'll go right when they open. Like, I mean, I used to go to the store at 2 in the morning when they would let you do that. That's why they took that away. And you would think, all right, I'll get there right when they open. And it's like, oh, well, but they don't even stock the shelves at 9 anymore. So you want to get there where the surge price would be the lowest, but nothing's on the shelf yet. Like, they didn't do that on purpose, right? And so if you're like me and you try to make every penny count, so you plan out what you want to get, what's the best value for your money, where are you going to get it, and you don't just plan what you're going to, you go out with a list of, these are the things I'm looking for, and you even like route your trip to be as efficient as possible, and spare as much gas as possible, and this and that. Well, they want to fucking even take that away from you after they already spent the last several years using a fake virus as an excuse to triple the price of everything. And even if the direct shelf price is 50% to, double, 50 to 100% higher, if you really look at the reduction of quality or substance, quantity or whatever, and just all these other little pseudo indirect ways of robbing value from you, it's really closer to triple or quadruple. Like these mega corporations didn't have enough already. So again, even if you're intelligent, they want to make it pure chaos to where you can't account for any of that. And like, you know, clearly the globalization bullshit, all these terrorist organizations subsidize each other's bad decisions, not just the corporate statist aspect of that, but like the interstate sort of thing. But like, the fact of the matter is, something just so chaotic and innately destructive is not going to last forever. It's going to last way longer than anybody would want it to. It's going to way outlast me. But it can't last forever. It's just, it'll last longer than the Romans did, because the Romans weren't as fucking entrenched as the modern shit. But they can only push it so far before it's chaos in the streets, you know. And they want to force you to have a kid you don't want, but then lock up the baby formula, right? And then they got their cops running around shooting pregnant women, shooting kids, because life is so sacred. And as usual, the 15-minute limit. I'm not going to be able to say everything I want to say even in this motherfucking video. Yet again, where does the depravity's extent fucking end, right? Well, clearly nowhere. It's like the universe. The limit of the universe is just how far out we can see so far, right? Well, what's the limit of human depravity? There isn't one. There's just as far as you've observed it so far, right? I've observed way more of it than others, but clearly this shit is infinite.